There was once a time when picking up a phone call was the main mode of communication. But now, with the endless choices available, some tech-savvy Gen Z are consumed with anxiety by the ringing of a phone. Okay.
What?
I think that's weird.
Let me hear it from you, Francis.
I'm one of those.
Are you really?
I really hate talking on the phone.
Why?
I don't know. Like, it just makes my body, like, shut down. Like,
Okay,
I get so
wait.
nervous.
Let me. Should I do this to her?
What does that mean?
Are you gonna call her?
You're talking on a microphone.
I know, it makes no sense.
To thousands of people, maybe
Thousands?
tens of thousands of people out there.
Well, that's a good point. Hey, guys. I don't know. I feel like just any sort of... I like communicating face-to-face, and so phone calls feel so, like, serious.
Okay, I can appreciate the face-to-face. All right, who else in here feels the same as Francis?
Okay.
Everybody, nobody's jumping.
Sorry, twin.
Well, okay.
Okay, let me hear it, Sally.
I understand where Francis is coming from, and I feel like a lot of people in our generation feel similarly. Just because I feel like you said, like texting is so normalized. It's not like we only have to call. It's not like we're used to just picking up the phone. Like, if I wanted to hang out with my friends, I'm not calling them. I'm texting them and I'm saying, hey, what do you guys want to do, you know?
Unless you're Elena and you show up outside my house and you have to call me to make sure that you get my attention ASAP.
Okay, that's Ella telling us about Elena. All right,
Yeah,
Elena?
sometimes I'll run to her house on my long runs.
Oh, okay. All right. McKenna?
I actually prefer calling. I like, it's for like little things. Sure, I'll text you. Like, I'll be like, I'm on the way. But if I have something to tell you and it's too long-winded for me to text, I would rather call or be in person, to be honest. But I like calling better. I just like being able to explain my thoughts.
You know,
Yeah.
I've got to say, okay, Adriana, let me hear it.
I'm pretty comfortable calling. A lot of my old jobs had me on the phone a lot. Like, I was a hostess, so people made a lot of reservations. So I'm used to talking to people on the phone.
Okay.
So that part of it's not really.
When you're talking to people on the phone, do you go deeper into the conversation, or you just simply say, "Hey, this is Adriana from XYZ. Your confirmation's been confirmed."
Yeah, I don't give them my whole life story. I'm just.
Do you
telling them about
ask?
their
Do you even
reservation.
ask?
If prompted, maybe, but they are usually the ones to have to ask me first. I usually don't, because it's usually just in a work environment, so I have other things to do, you know?
Oh, okay. All right. The only Sam, you're the only male in here. Let me hear it. Do you care to talk on the phone? I mean, wait, hold on. Let me correct that. The only other male in the room. All right, thank you. Keep going.
It's kind of a in the moment kind of thing. Like, I argue very well on the phone or in person, but I can't text out what I have in mind to say.
Okay.
Because that would take me forever and my thumbs get tired.
Okay, here's a question for you. And this goes to more than just a phone call, but it actually starts with a phone call. And that is, how do you engage with someone that is on the other end of the phone line, and that is maybe not somebody that you know closely, but how do you engage? Does that create any kind of a problem for you? And this goes to Adriana, who's simply calling to say, "Hey, Sally, reservation's been confirmed. Have a good day." Bang. Is that about it, Adriana?
I think I'd really only call my friends if I really wanted a long conversation, or like friends or family. I don't think I'd ever call someone I'm not necessarily that close with and like have a long-winded conversation. That feels more like a text kind of situation.
Let me hear it from you, Ella.
If I'm calling people that I don't know in my personal life, it's either I've set up a meeting with them like over email beforehand,
right?
And so we know we're gonna call, or it's a doctor and they're a professional, and then everything's gonna be very professional, very sterile. Like, it's not gonna be and how was your day? Like, no,
do you even ask that
I'm
question?
here for my appointment.
Do you even ask that question? Even from your friends?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
I called my granddad yesterday to ask him how his day was.
Very sweet of you. All right, Elena, you were going to say?
I was just gonna actually say basically exactly what Ella said. Like, I mean, you don't really call people that you don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, McKenna.
Well, I think I'm similar to Adriana. Like, I work I pet sit a lot
Uh-huh.
as like my main source of income, and so when I'm setting up like meetings with clients or something, I usually will just text them and I'll send them updates like, hey, your dog whatever Biscuits is doing good. I just fed him, and I hope you have safe travels home. Like unless I
Okay.
only call them if there's like a specific emergency or a very specific thing that I need to address with them that I can't really express my emotions out within the text. So
Okay. You know, the other aspect of this, and it goes to the aspect of business and relationship to Adriana, what you were saying earlier, and that is being able to, have you ever heard the term elevator speech?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done
Adriana's shaking her head. An elevator speech. Would anybody like to share with Adriana what an elevator speech is?
Sure. I will. So I've actually done several assignments like in English classes and stuff. And essentially an elevator speech is just like a simple pitch about what you want to do or an idea that you want to convey that like is kind of like usually there's like a specific format.
You figure
have.
2.5 minutes to
Yeah.
3.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're just saying what you want to say, and then at the end you have a call to action about what you want them to do specifically.
You're in an elevator with the person you're trying to talk to. Explain your idea to them before you get to the next floor.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
And how many have you've done it, Elena? McKenna. Has anybody else in here done that an elevator speech?
I'm sure I've done some for some like assignments in school, but I've never done one like professionally.
Okay, Ella.
I've done elevator pitches to try and get leadership roles in different organizations.
Okay. Good point. All right. I'm back to you on Francis on this one.
Oh boy.
Okay, let's talk about this in relationship to face-to-face communications. If you're actually talking to the person, you see their eyeballs, it makes you more comfortable.
Yeah. I feel like everything over the phone feels so much more serious or like, I don't know. I'm not hostile, but like I can't see the other person, so I'm like, what if they're like hunched over and plotting and they want to kill me? I don't actually think that, but that's just like
Okay, paranoia
Yeah.
kicks in. Okay, all right. Then final question, and we'll move on to other items. But obviously, and to your point a few moments ago, Ella, you mentioned you texted people before you called them. That's the new protocol, right?
Well, I actually was emailing a rep from the College of Natural Resources at NC State today because he's gonna give me some interview tips or whatever. We're gonna call on Thursday for my interview.
Sweet. I
for
want to hear.
tips.
I want to hear about this next week. So you're going to be meeting somebody that you've never met before, one-on-one physically, and you're going to be talking to them via phone. So you're going to have to imagine what they look like, right?
Yeah.
Have you? By the way,
Or we're gonna Zoom call.
okay. Well, Zoom. All right, and then okay. Hold on. That adds a whole different aspect of it. Does a Zoom call versus a phone call, is there a difference?
I like phone calls more than Zoom calls.
Same.
Phone calls have higher quality for
Yeah,
one point.
yeah.
Okay, higher quality. Is it a matter also you're not as distracted?
Well, yeah, I feel like I'm worried about what I look like
Yeah.
on Zoom.
100%.
I just think.
Am I
like,
smiling? Do they think I'm paying attention?
You
Like
can't-
I'm not trying to,
You
be
can't
One
look
time-
good on a Zoom call. Is the problem.
one
That's
time I was
not
on
what
a
I'm
Zoom
worried
call
about.
and I like was zoned out for a second and I looked at myself and I noticed I'd been looking like
Yeah.
like the whole time and I was like, oh wow, I did not mean to do that.
Or like what happens if I'm trying to think and I'm like, I don't know, staring at the wall right
You know-
beside me? Do they think that that's disrespectful?
Right. It takes more preparation. It's like an actual like interview.
I commend you on that because, again, that universal divide, not generational divide. I grew up with a telephone, and I don't think about that in relationship to my conversation on Zoom. I don't use Zoom that often, and when I do, to your point, Francis, the other aspect of this, and of course, you're looking at the individual on the computer. Well, the camera is usually above or below the computer, so, not directly in line. So after a while, if I'm looking at the individual, they're not looking at me. They're looking at the computer, which for all intents and purposes is looking at me, but they're not staring me in the eyeball. And so, yeah, that's an interesting conclusion. I hadn't even consider the relationship of Zoom calls. And nowadays, to that point, a lot of your interviews are being done by Zoom, and you're shaking your head no, Sam.
No, yeah, I've got a college interview coming up next Friday, and it's going to be in person, like full, like dress, wear suit, and everything.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong. A lot of the interviews that we have nowadays are on Zoom.
Yeah, like driver's ed. I did driver's ed over Zoom.
Or like I think Ella and I have
Interviews,
both had
yeah.
like some Zoom interviews for some things for colleges.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty popular to have some.
And
Zoom
I
interviews.
also have an in-person interview this Saturday, but that's not saying that Zoom isn't or hasn't become a more used option.
Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say
Ellen,
that I
Leno?
also have used Zoom for like talking with coaches at different colleges.
Turn that towards you. Okay,
This
one more time.
this one. I was gonna say that I've also used Zoom not just for like interviews, but for also for like talking with coaches at different colleges and stuff. So
Okay.
like it is being used very like widely, I would say.
Okay, we recognize then that the telephone is somewhat of a difficult instrument, particularly for Frances. But she can hold a microphone in front of her hand and talk to 10,000 people out there. I'm impressed with that. All right, so let's go to the issue of Zoom calling. And is there a situation where, for example, in school, it would be beneficial if maybe teachers were to talk to you about how to conduct a Zoom call?
No.
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 Yeah.
I don't think
Why
that
not,
it,
Sally?
I don't think they're that widely used. I mean, I think I've been on a couple. I mean, Zoom calls during COVID, sure, but they're not widely used enough to the point where I need a lesson on how to use Zoom.
Okay. No, I'm not talking about a lesson on how to use Zoom, but how to present yourself on Zoom.
I think you might as well just like take like learn how to do an in-person interview and then just apply that to the Zoom call and
Yeah,
act like the
that's what I was
computer
gonna
is the
say. I think-
person.
Okay.
I know Sally and I did interviews our freshman year where we had to interview people from a different country. And and it was just the same thing as an in-person interview. You're just very serious. You make sure that you like let them know that you're understanding what they're saying and that you're paying attention, you're being respectful. It's just all the same things as in person.
Okay.
I did mine in person, and I preferred to actually do it in person. I
Wait,
had
wait, when you did
access.
what in person?
The interview they were talking about where we interview a person from another country. So the person she was from Venezuela and she lives here in Moorhead. So
Okay.
I reached out to her and she invited me over to her house and she was very kind and welcoming. And I actually I offered to her to do it on Zoom. It was whatever was most convenient for her, but she said she preferred to do it in person.
Okay. One final question, and that is in your conversations in these circumstances where it is on a more formal or business-like environment, and I think I know the answer to this before I even get started. Do you all take notes?
Of course.
Yes.
Yes. Was
Everybody-
that the answer you were expecting?
No.
Oh, why?
I feel like we've talked about this before.
Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
note takers.
Whenever I have like a video call or something, generally I'm being graded on something, and it's like bonus points if you take notes. So
I just
Ah.
got shown how to do something new at work, and I took notes on that because I was like, I'm gonna forget this.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.